Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football and the Match Reaction Show. It's finished. Manchester City 4, Crystal Palace nil. And we don't always say this, we don't always get to say this, but I think this was a proper, flawless performance from Manchester City because I can't think of a single part in this game where they were threatened. And maybe that says a lot about Crystal Palace, but I think it says a bit about Manchester City as well. But to start in this game, there's a term that we use in sport quite often. It's called sliding doors. I just wonder if there's ever been a position point where you can say it's reverse sliding doors, because you need to cast your mind back to the game against Tottenham that happened quite some time ago. And it's probably been a few weeks now, 6 weeks last year, probably. I think it was December or November that this game happened. And if you remember that game, Spurs completely dominated Manchester City. City looked like they had no idea what was going on, and Spurs won 2-0, I believe, that day. It was a perfect tactical execution that Mourinho put out. And at that point, everybody was talking about, oh, and Guardiola had just signed a new contract as well at that point, I believe. And everybody was talking about the fact, oh, is Guardiola, busted flush now? Has he been found out? Has it been have tactics been taken, gone past him? And all of those things were true to a certain extent. They were true that yes, he had been found out at that point. uh, and I'm not that it was a busted flush, but yes, the tactics had been found out. Yes, the game had changed from what he was playing. And then on the other hand, you had Jose Mourinho and Spurs, and everybody's talking about how their title challenges, how they could actually win the title that season. And how Mourinho's kind of reinvented the team a little bit. And then you come to now, and what you see now is that Spurs have fallen back to Old Trafford. They won today. They got a very good performance today, 3-1 win over Sheffield. They were really good. But overall, in the last few games that we've seen Spurs sometimes going back to those old Mourinho days of always trying to hold on to 1-0 leads, trying to defend for their lives when they might be better off attacking. He's gone back to those old habits. When something new was working, he's gone back to his old habits and he's fallen back into old traps. There's Pep and City have now kind of evolved from that game. It's 7 wins out of the last 9 games. It's been 7 clean sheets as well. And what has changed is that they had a good rock solid defense, but I think they've changed it from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1. Guardiola, famously a manager, doesn't like to play with number 10s. He's fallen out with number 10s in the past, and now he's playing with the number 10. He's playing De Bruyne as a number 10, and has really allowed him, to have that flexibility with those two midfielders. Because when you've got two central midfielders, a lot of people think that's defensive, but it's not. What it actually does is it means that even if, for example, even if De Bruyne, for one, it gives the number 10 freedom to go right, left, wherever he wants to go. It's kind of like he can go wherever he wants because he knows that behind him there are two midfielders who are going to cover for him, even if he is out of position at any given point in time. When you play a three, you've only got one CDM, so that one CDM has to cover for two midfielders. Whereas when you play a 4-2-3-1, you've got two midfielders covering for one number 10. So it kind of makes it a little bit more defensively solid, but it also allows the creative players, they can still go, they can still kind of find spaces and pocket spaces. You don't need to play two CDMs. You could play one more advanced, box to box midfielder, but you can play that knowing that there's still going to be two midfielders that are going to cover for you. So it works. It works very well. It has worked for City, and I think it has allowed them to be more defensively solid. So teams can't really counter attack on them every time because they've got that security blanket. But then they've also got the license now with their forward players to be more expressive, to be more expansive, to try more things, to look for more pockets, and it's kind of helping them against teams that park the bus. So I think City, I think there's a lot of credit there for Pep Guardiola to recognize that, to change that. And I think we'll see more and more teams now start to play 4-2-3-1, 4-1-1. I think we're going to see more and more teams starting to adopt that formation now because that's just the way these things go. It just provides a little bit more security. So I think that this was a very good. I thought that was a good tactical change that he made, and it's kind of now we're starting to see the benefits of that. They had a few streaky 1-0s, 2-0s, things like that, but now I think they're starting to get clear that the offensive players are now starting to understand the benefits, and it's just going to keep on going. I think it's going to be tough to see how City are going to be stopped. Because I mean they just defensively now they look so solid. After John Stones today had such a great game, 2 goals he scored, but beyond that, I think he's benefiting from Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz is going to go unnoticed in this game, but I thought he was excellent again. And what he's allowed again. Sometimes with centre backs, sometimes it's just partnerships, right? When you find someone who complements you, even if you are maybe to use FIFA, even if you're an 80 or an 84 defender, you can look like an 88 or a 90 defender because you have a good partner next to you. And I think Ruben Diaz does that. He brings the best out of John Stones. He makes him look. I think he makes him look better than he is. I still think John Stones He's not as bad as people say he is, but I don't think he's suddenly become world class overnight. He hasn't, but I think he just looks so good because Ruben Diaz is a much better defender than Company. Sorry, not Company. Otamendi. He's a better defender than Laporte. I mean, I said Company. I think that was sacrilege that I said Company, but I didn't mean Company. I think better than Otamendi. He's better than Laporte. He's obviously better than Fernandinho, who's been playing there. So he provides a stability, and then John Stones can feel a little bit more easiness about what he has to do about his role in the side, and it's allowing him to be more expressive, be more offensive minded as well in the way he plays. And he's reaping rewards. And I think today's 2 goals were a big part of just having that freedom and knowing that he's secure and stable. It really helps a lot. So I think that's benefited him a lot. And I think Ruben Diaz might very well in the end of this season might turn out to be the sign of the season. I think it's a bit early, but I think he might very well turn out to be the sign of the season for City if they go on to win the league title. But a brilliant performance overall. And there's 2 world-class goals as well in there. I mean, if you look at Stones' first goal, it's a nice cross and it's a header. It's a routine sort of situation. But then Gundogan just pulls out something out of the locker that you just don't expect him to pull out. Goes full top corner. No goalkeeper's ever saving that. So he goes right there. And then there's a mix-up in the box where Crystal Palace concede a third goal. And Stones again pounces with his left foot, by the way. He scored with his left foot. So if he had actually managed to score a right-footed goal, he would have had a perfect hat-trick. Now think about that. If there was a penalty that had been given and if Stones had taken it and converted it, it would have been a perfect hat-trick because he scored with his left foot, his header, and his right foot, but he didn't get a chance. And then Sterling that's just a wonderful free kick. And he missed a penalty in the last game. There's a little bit of criticism there, but then he comes up trumps here with a nice free kick, which is a well-worked routine as well. I mean, I was talking here in the commentators mentioned that I thought it was perfect there that the goalkeeper was too central, and because he was expecting a shot that was going to be more central, but then it was a decoy and he goes top corner on the right, which is incredible. So it's all around a very good performance. I don't think we use the word flawless often. Sometimes we use flawless, but they're not actually flawless. But I think this was flawless, and I think it says a lot about Crystal Palace because Crystal Palace have this issue where they're really good, they're really solid, they're really defensive, and if you keep it 0-0, if they can keep it 0-0, they are a team that fights very very hard, defensively and offensively. But if you can go to 2-0, 1-0, 2-0, then the heads start to drop. The fight starts to disappear. You saw it against Arsenal and Spurs. They were 0-0 with Arsenal. They kept that clean sheet throughout the 90 minutes. Against Spurs, they were 1-0 down, but then they fought and they got back to 1-1, and then they defended for their lives to make sure that they stayed 1-1. But then you've got the game against Liverpool where they went 2-0 down and suddenly the heads dropped. Because at 1-0 they were fighting and they could have been 1-1, and then a second goal came and then the heads dropped and they lost 7-0. Today again, same thing. And once that Gundogan goal goes in, it just looks like the fight just evaporated from Palace. So I think there's a bit of a mental issue there. That doesn't take away from what City did, but I think there's some issue there that Roger Hodgson will have to look at. I mean, but at the end of the day, when you think about Palace, they're not really going to get relegated. They're not really sucked into that relegation fight, and they're not really going to finish, in the top half or in the European places. So really, it's like, what are we fighting for when we're 2-0 down? What are we actually fighting for? Why are we actually fighting? So maybe there's something there, to be said about ambition as well at a football club. But I mean, overall, I think City, credit to Guardiola, credit to the City players. They've recognized that there was an issue and they've actually gone out and they've solved it. And now they look much, much more solid. I think now, and I've said this before, so I think City have a very good chance of winning the quadruple this season. They're in the League Cup final. They will now go top of the league. If they win their game in hand, they will go top of the league. So, that because United drew today, so they will go top of the league. I mean, there's still a few games left against the big clubs to come, so maybe there will be some shuffling there. But you would expect now City having that, foot in the door, you expect them to ram it open and then take it away from United and Liverpool. So I think they're favorites for the league title at this point, especially if Liverpool keeps struggling to score goals. And I've said this now, so they're probably going to go and smash. I think they play Burnley. Liverpool play Burnley, I think, on Thursday. They'll go and smash them 5-0, 6-0, since I've said that now. But I think City have a very good chance of a very, very, I think they're the favorites now at this point to win the league title. And then you've got the FA Cup, which again, they've got a pretty easy draw to get into the quarterfinals. So you would expect them to make it to the quarterfinals and then possibly get a couple more easy draws to get them to the final and win that as well. I know people will think it's a side comment, but actually that's a fact. They do get easy draws, whatever the reason being. Maybe, maybe they have a bit of a, maybe they might have stretched something going on there. And then they've got the Champions League where they're playing Mönchengladbach, again, one of the easier teams in the draws. You would expect them to make it to the quarters. But now with that defense that has been sorted, their defense has been an issue. They've sorted that. They look very much more assured in defense. I think this is a good chance to win the Champions League because Bayern don't look that good. Liverpool don't look that good. And then you're just wondering where the challenge is going to come from because Barcelona, Madrid, Juventus, they're not at their best this season. So, I mean, where's the challenge coming from? So I think this is a very good chance for them to win all 4 trophies. They probably might not win all four, but I think they'll be kicking themselves if they don't. But you know, I mean, there's games now that are going to come thick and fast, and I think City will need to be on it. What was great also is squad depth. I mean, they didn't play Foden today. They didn't play Mahrez today. They didn't play. I mean, they didn't start Foden today. They didn't start Ferran Torres today. They didn't have Aguero. And Mahrez was unavailable as well. And still went and they won 4-0. I mean, that's just insane squad depth at the moment, and that's I think I love Phil Foden. I think every time I see him, he just surprises me and just amazes me. And just a quick note. I don't think he did anything special today because he only played 20 minutes. But on Phil Foden, I think Phil Foden, when his career is over, we will say that of the whole generation of players that won that under 17 World Cup, which he was a part of, I think probably he'll be the player that will have the most amount of success, I think, at the end of his career. I think a lot of people talk about Jadon Sancho, and I think Jadon Sancho is a phenomenal talent in his own right. But I just think that Phil Foden has just that little bit extra. It's just a matter now of him cementing his place undisputedly as a number one starter for City. I think he's almost there. He's almost at that point now where he should be considered regular for City in the big games at least. It's hard to be considered regular with City because they rotate so much, but I think he's just on that cusp now that he could be. And once he does that, I think he will probably be the player that I'm not saying that he's going to be the best player in the world or that he's going to be the greatest player in the world or whatever, but I think he will be probably the best English player of his generation, of that under 17 crop that won the World Cup together. I think he'll be. And when you look at the competition, I mean, Ryan Brewster is already falling away. Angel Gomez currently is away, and he's trying to rebuild his career in Portugal. We'll see what happens there. Sancho's kind of had a little bit of a blip. He's kind of finding his form. He's still a little bit up and down, so he's still finding that consistency. And then you're just looking at the other players. I mean, there's not much noise about any of the other players right now, is there? So I think he will be a player that will probably, if he fulfills his potential, I think we'll be seeing probably the best player of that generation. But we shall see. There's still a long, 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 long way to go. But I'm very impressed by him, and I really like watching him. If only he was playing for a different Manchester club. But anyway, I mean, ultimately, I think it's a good win for City. Finishes Manchester City 4, Crystal Palace nil. Great win. City are now in the box seat for the Premier League title, in the Premier League title race, and probably, in my opinion, now the favourites for the Premier League title. But we shall see what happens. I mean, it's been a crazy season so far, so maybe there's a few more twists and turns to come as well. But please smash a like if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the game, if you enjoyed City's performance, if you enjoyed those 2 goals. I mean, if you enjoyed anything about Manchester City, please smash a like on the video, and just remember to comment if there was something that stood out for you that you want to talk about, or that if you want to yell at me for jinxing City's chances, that's totally fine as well. You can do that. And please remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new, because your support really helps in growing this channel, and it helps me continue to produce these videos for you guys. So I really appreciate that. And you subscribe, I describe. I create videos. I'm trying to think of a rhyme, but there's no rhyme. But I think my man of the match, I think it's pretty obvious, is John Stones. I think it was brilliant performance from him today. I think it was absolutely amazing. No doubt, no question about that. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day or night, whatever time you're watching this. We'll see if we do a few reactions for the midweek games. There's more games coming up, so we'll see if we keep this going. But if not, I'll see you when I see you next. But until then, take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Bye bye.